and welcome to our lecture tonight for Meal Prep 101. We're with Health by Design. And I'm going to jump in and share a little bit why people come to our practice and what people are seeking when they walk through our doors. So a lot of people go to a medical practice and they're just told with their list of symptoms, this is the way it is, this is how it's going to be, but here's some medication, it'll alleviate the symptoms, and then you might need another medication after that because you're going to have these other symptoms. Or, like, I was told, like, you're normal. This is normal, and you're just going to have to live with it. And I'm like, this is not normal. Like, this, I know I'm not me anymore. And so that's what we see. And Dr. Christie and I both know that there's more to your story, and it doesn't have to stop with what you've been told at the medical office. And that, you know, there are other things we can test your body to find what nutritional deficiencies you have that are causing you to have these symptoms, and then also what interferences you might be experiencing, like metal and chemical toxicity, food sensitivities, and then also immune challenges that might be affecting the body and are keeping your body from healing. And so that's something that I did. I experimented a lot with food. Like, I'm sure it's gluten, I'm sure it's dairy, I'm sure it's this. And so I would cut things out for 60 days, and then I would switch it to something else. And my friends would be like, what are we cutting out now? You know, like, what are you not eating now? And so we don't have to guess, and that's what we do here, is we help you find what is interfering with your body so you don't have to try and figure it out and do all the guesswork yourself. And the way that we do that is through muscle testing. But we tell you guys all the time, we can put you on all the supplements in the world, but if you're not changing your food, then you're not going to heal. And so 75% of your program is what you eat. And I remember, when, like, she said, you can't have eggs. I'm like, eggs? No eggs? Like, what am I going to eat? And so that's why we're here tonight, is to talk about foods that you can prepare to eat, you know, to be prepared to eat, and you don't have to freak out. And we really want to set you guys up for success and to have lots of options of food you can eat and help you guys focus on what you can eat instead of what you can't eat. So if you can get out your lecture notes, I have a couple quotes here about being prepared. So the first one is by Benjamin Franklin. By failing to prepare, you're preparing to fail. And so we all know that's true, right? If we don't have our meals kind of planned out and we don't have an idea of what we can eat, what do? What do we start doing? Snacking. We grab things, right? We just grab what we can get. Our blood sugar drops and we're like, I have nothing to eat, so we make really bad choices, right? And so that's why we have to have food ready so that we don't make those kinds of choices. Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first 4 hours sharpening the axe, by Abraham Lincoln. So, like, if you want something to go well, like, you also have to do the prep work to do it if you want to be successful. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So that's what we're in. We're in preventative medicine, you know, doing the work to prevent things so that you do have an ounce of a cure, right? Just by preparing your food. So what building blocks are you putting into your body to restore and repair the dysfunction? Because that's what we're always trying to identify, and we'll talk about that later. So my tips for success, we put these together as an office, all of our different tips that we do when meal prepping throughout the week. I am currently cooking our black bean soup in the Instant Pot. I have a newfound love for the Instant Pot. Everyone in the office is like, let me guess, you cooked it in the Instant Pot. I'm like, yes, it's so awesome. So we're cooking, see, I'm talking and the soup is cooking itself. It's amazing. So there's some black bean soup from dried beans in there cooking. So it didn't soak anything. It's just going to turn into soup. It's magic. So the tip to success number one is to pick a day to shop and prep. So I know Dr. Christie's day is Sunday. After church, goes to 3 stores, goes to stores, and then she goes home, chops, cooks, preps for the week so that she has all her lunches and breakfast and dinners ready for the week. And then I have started shifting mine to Friday because I was finding, like, we did really good Monday through Thursday. And then, like, Friday night through the weekend, we were eating out so much, and then our choices weren't as good. So I started prepping on Friday evenings, and that helps me, you know, to be more prepared even for the weekend. So you have to pick your day, and if you don't carve out the time, it won't happen. It's the whole by failing to prepare part. If you don't know what day your meal prep day is, then it won't happen. You're like, oh, shoot, I meant to prepare for this week. And it won't happen if you don't carve out the time. So pick your day. The second one is use shopping services to save time and to allow more time for prepping. So I've started using Shipt, and because I have a Costco membership, they take a discount off at the end, so it like cancels out the whole increase in price that they do when you use the service. And so I like haven't set foot in Costco in a really long time, and it's beautiful. So they have like I'll get the like all my spinach delivered and my meat and all of that. So then I just have to go to Publix. So I put the link on there so you can use that link and go, and it's $100 for the year, but they bring your groceries to you, and it's incredible. So that really helps save time. So look into those things. Some people use Thrive.com. That's another one because they have a lot of organics and things that ships right to your house. So that one you do have to plan ahead a little more because it's not like it's there tomorrow. It takes about a week to come. So you do have to know I'm running out of quinoa, I'm running out of almond flour, that kind of thing, and prepare ahead of time. But that's another really great one. Instant Cart is another company that's in town. I haven't used that one, but people really like it as well. And then my suggestion is to make a plan for the entire week. So if you flip to the second page, I put in an example of a prepared week. One of the tips is to also like cook one meat or one protein 3 different ways, so you're not re-cooking every single night. So you'll see that in the example. So I'm looking at this first week here. So in the evening, I have sheet pan fajitas. So you make a sheet pan, and it's peppers and onions and chicken with the fajita seasoning, and it just cooks in the oven. And so during the week, so you see Monday night, we're eating that over quinoa, and then we'll do avocado and cilantro and all those yummy toppings. But then the second night, I'll make a salad with the same, like the chicken, the peppers and onions. I'm not eating a quinoa bowl again, but the next night we're having a salad, so it really it changes it up, so my family is not like we're eating the same thing again. And then you can see, then I use that meat on Wednesday morning in an omelet, so I know that I'm going to use the rest of the fajita meat on Wednesday morning for breakfast. So I'm not cooking 3 different times, but I got 3 different meals out of the main protein and vegetable. And then you can see, like on Wednesday night, we have Mediterranean turkey lettuce burgers. So we're not serving it on a bun, but in lettuce wraps. We call them lettuce boats. And then the second night, you see, I'm taking that same meat, but I'm making it into meatballs, so I don't have to make the meat mixture all over again. But I'm serving it over quinoa with tzatziki sauce. And then I'll use the leftover meatballs with eggs and quinoa for breakfast in the morning. So do you see how I'm not like cooking a brand new base every single time? So I'm utilizing that protein like throughout the week. So that saves you a lot of time, because then when you come home, you already have your fajita mix of peppers and onions and chicken already made. It's just like, what are we doing with it tonight? But it's a different meal than the last one that you had. And you can see in the morning, Dr. Christie loves to make a quiche. Cody made one this week, and then that's like mixed up between breakfast and lunch because you can serve it with a salad. Those are awesome. And then we make like a tuna salad or something else that we can throw into the lunch mixture. So you can see I made a list. Like, so on Sunday, to make this happen, we have to do the roasted veggies. I can throw that on the sheet pan with the peppers and onions and the chicken, like roast my veggies for my quiche at the same time. So it's like I'm doing that all at one time. And then I bake my bacon. If you've never done that, it's life changing. So you just put your bacon on a baking sheet, and then you put it in the oven for 20 minutes, and it comes out so crispy, and your kitchen's not greasy, and it's not splattered everywhere. It's awesome. So that's another thing that's going in the oven. And then making a large batch of quinoa, and then putting it in glass containers. If I have any leftovers, I'll even freeze those. Is that my phone?
Yes, I think that's new.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was mine. I was like, that's new. And then, so does that make sense? You can make a large batch of quinoa and then use it in the week, and then what you don't use, you can freeze in glass containers so that you have it for, instead of making a batch of quinoa every time you want to eat it. A large salad bowl. Dr. Christie's thing is she makes a big salad on Sunday, and then she just pulls out of it when she makes her lunch or whatever. She pulls a handful out with dinner. So you can see what I would have to make on Sunday to make this happen, but then my week is so much easier, and I'm making good choices throughout the week. Does anyone have any questions about that part? Yes.
Do you have to freeze it in a glass container?
No, we just choose glass because it's safer, like instead of using a plastic bag. Does that make sense? Or what would you want to freeze it in? Like a Tupperware? Yeah. Yeah, so to get away from the plastics and the BPA, our preference would be to do like these glass containers. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So it's like portioned out. We are raffling these off tonight, so hopefully you'll be the winner. Then you can use those.
To do your salad, to keep it fresh, do you put something on top of it?
I don't. Some people do a damp paper towel. I don't put anything on mine. I just also don't put soggy toppings on there. Like I don't put my tomatoes in there. They're in like a separate dish. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So going back to our tips for success, I'm going to number 4. We talked about cooking one main protein to cover 3 meals, cooking it 3 different ways. And this idea comes from my really good friend Amy Jensen. She runs Eat Real with me. And so it is a meal planning service where she emails you every week this whole idea where she has, it's like 6 meals that are laid out with 2 different bases. And they're really creative, and they're you're like, oh, how did you come up with that out of that? But what I would caution is that she does use some more carbohydrates than we would recommend. So if there is a pasta dish, then I just won't use the pasta part. You know, I kind of tweak it for my family, or I just won't make that 3rd meal, if that makes sense. But you subscribe to it, and then you get the emails every week with the meals for the week. And she even gives you a grocery list. It's really great. So make larger batches that carry over into lunches and dinner. That's what we talked about with the quinoa and the salad. Like I was horrible at that, and I'm getting better of making being excited and great with leftovers. So make big salads, make a big batch of beans, make a big batch of quinoa, and then freeze what you don't use. And then have good storage containers available. Glass or stainless is what we recommend. There's also these new bags out that are silicone called stash bags, and people are raving about them because you can even do chicken broth in them, and they seal really well. So they're on my birthday list.
It's called stash what?
Stash bags. And then they can go in the dishwasher too. So pre-chop your veggies for the week. So if you have something that has to have chopped ingredients in it, like on Wednesday and Thursday, just go ahead and chop it on Sunday, put it in a container, and then on Wednesday and Thursday you're like, yes, you just dump the bowl and you don't have to chop anything. So that's a huge help. The thing that we talk about a lot here is doing protein shakes, because even if you did a protein shake every other morning, it's a game changer. Like you have 3 or that many less meals to prepare for. They're so easy, and you can add a lot of things to them to bulk up your nutrients. Like this morning my son was like, ew, spinach and peanut butter together, like in my protein shake. So just adding in the good fats and the spinach and whatever I want can hide it in my protein powder too. So doing shakes is another really good thing, or a night like tonight, if you knew you were going to be out later planning on having a shake for dinner instead of like, oh, what am I going to cook? So having those available to you to use. And then Pinterest is a great way to look up recipes to do meal prepping for. Keywords would be low carb, paleo, keto recipe. You know, you just type it in there. And then I have the keyword of instant pot recipe. I put that one in there, and I can pull up different things. And the 10th tip would be there are prepared meal delivery services. So there are, Dr. Christie will, look at her month and be like, this week is going to be really difficult for me to meal prep. So then she can reach out to like Kathy's Table, where they prepare different meals for you ahead of time. Eat Fit Foods is another one. And then Cody uses Cultured Foods, which is it all vegan?
Vegan, vegetarian.
They have vegan, vegetarian options. So that's another company. So having those at your fingertips too and ready to use those is also a tip. So we're going to go into all the ideas that we came up together as a team and the way that we prepare for all 3 meals. So for breakfast, we already talked about the protein shakes, and we're now carrying, in addition to standard process, we're carrying Stephanie. I don't know if you remember Stephanie Lincoln. her protein shakes, Fire Team whiskey. So
You have them now?
yeah, we have the MCT ones right now until she launches her other ones. Yeah, so we're carrying
I love
those.
those,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're awesome. And there's no sugar. They're keto based, so they're really great protein shakes to utilize. And we also have our standard processed ones. And then adding greens, fats, collagen. You can sneak your collagen in there, and fiber. We're supposed to, as females, supposed to get 30 grams of fiber a day, and we fail horribly. Like romaine lettuce doesn't even have the fiber that I'm talking about in it. So we think we ate one salad, we're doing really good, but you have to work really hard at getting enough fiber in the diet. So adding stuff to your protein shake is a good way to do that. The other way is I like making an egg casserole for the whole week. So the quiche idea without the crust. I fill it with eggs and veggies, like whatever vegetable is in the refrigerator, we throw it in there. One of my favorite sneaky things to do is to saute cauliflower rice. So it's all diced up fine, and I can sneak it into the casserole, and the kids don't notice, and they're getting cauliflower for breakfast. And then you can cover it with cheese. Another one is cottage cheese because it adds the protein and it mixes into the casserole nicely. Quinoa bowls for breakfast. A lot of people don't think about this, but you can make a bowl of quinoa and put eggs on top, like a fried egg or a poached egg with nuts and feta and herbs, all kinds of things, and they're delicious. So I remember Dr. Christie gave me the little green passport book. Some of you have probably gotten that. It recommended soup, vegetable soup for breakfast, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's awful. But now, like my neighbor who's a patient, she'll come out and she'll be like, hey, and she's eating her vegetable soup. Because it's just our American way of thinking that breakfast should be eggs and bread. You know, that's just what we're trained, or oatmeal, like grains. That's what we're trained to think breakfast is. But really, there's no reason that soup cannot be for breakfast. So you can eat vegetables for breakfast and get your veggies in, and it's easy to eat out of a bowl while you're driving. Okay, so I hope my parents aren't listening. You can do egg cups where you can make like the egg casserole in muffin tins, and people will freeze those, and they're easy to pop out. I'm sure you've seen those on Pinterest or something. You can just pop them out. The other thing would be boiled eggs. So you can boil eggs and then have them peeled and ready. My kids love those. Like just grab them out of the refrigerator, and they're a great protein snack. That's what we snack on between patient visits, is we grab boiled eggs and snack on those. Blender eggs. I have not personally done this, but I have done this part. I'll put 12 eggs in the blender and just turn it on, and so they're scrambled, and then I just keep the blender in the fridge for the kids for the week, so then I just have to pulse it real quick and pour instead of cracking the eggs every morning. And then some people have told me they cook the scrambled eggs and that they heat up well. So you can do that too. I haven't tried that yet. Moving to the back side, so we talked about the vegetable soup, low carb breakfast cookies. I put my recipe for those in here. So we have, they're back here. So I tried to include some of my favorite recipes for you guys to go home with. It's a pork, like a sausage base with almond flour and egg. It's a keto recipe. Melissa's nodding her head. But they're awesome, and I just pop them out of the refrigerator and heat them up, and the kids love them. But they're called breakfast cookies, so that should make you feel excited. And then bulletproof coffee, adding the good fats to your coffee, like butter and the MCT oils. They fill you up, and so they hold you over a lot longer, and then you avoid the whole acid burning in the stomach part.
You put butter in coffee?
I know, it sounds awful, but it's so good.
It's amazing.
It's delicious. It's like putting cream in your coffee. A lot
Are you using butter instead of cream?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a butter person, but I'm a cream person, so I can't have
Heavy whipping cream too.
Yeah, you can use heavy whipping cream, but what people like Dr. Christie, even in a lot of people put it in the blender. And I think you have to really. You put the butter and the coffee in the blender, and it gets a little foam layer on top, and it tastes really good.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it sounds so good, right? Is it sounding better?
Is
No, it's really good.
Is that recipe the
Bulletproof? It's not in here, but if you Google bulletproof coffee, 1,000 things will pull up. Then you do want to use grass-fed butter, just to clarify. Grass-fed Kerrygold butter, or a brand like that. So for lunch, some of our ideas were utilizing the leftovers from dinner, obviously, and then always overcooking at dinner, so you have lunch options to heat up. Prepare a large salad like we talked about and portion out daily. Prepare a protein to add to salad. So I always make like a tuna salad, a chicken salad. I've started baking chicken by Charisse, our front desk gal's recommendation. Just putting 4 chicken breasts with salt, pepper, paprika, and I use ghee, like clarified butter on them, and then bake them for 20 minutes, 425, and then I have like sliced chicken to use. I made, salad, and then I used it in a cauliflower chicken casserole the other night. So you can just use the chicken all different ways. Hard-boiled eggs, that kind of thing. So having lentils, things prepared that you can just start throwing on top of your meals for the protein. Roasted veggies are always a go-to. You just take a big pan. How many of you know how to make roasted vegetables? Yeah, most of you just cover them in good fats like olive oil or avocado oil, and then season them the way you want to, and then you just roast them on 425 for about 20-25 minutes, and then you have a big pan of yummy vegetables for the week. Fruit salad, we talked about the quiche. So for general beefing up of meals, we talked about having boiled eggs around. Sometimes I'll pre-dice onions and have them in the fridge so I can just grab those. Another one Dr. Christie likes to do is to have taco meat. Like, just go ahead and make taco meat for the week, and you can turn it into 100 different things all week long. So doing that. Sauteed peppers and onions, avocados. I always have a couple avocados on hand. A trick a friend taught me is to, if you get the bag from Costco and they give you 7, and they all ripen at one time, always. So you pull out 2, leave them on the counter, let those ripen, but put the other ones in the fridge. And then you just take 2 more out, those ripen. Nobody ever taught me this. You guys are all nodding like everyone else does. So then they don't all ripen at the same time. So it's a beautiful thing. So anyway, so for snacks, my husband calls me a squirrel. I always have almonds or walnuts or something in my purse. So then if I feel my blood sugar dropping or sugar craving, I just grab my squirrel food, and then I'm fine. It kind of levels me back out. Almond meal crackers. Cody has a good recipe for those. Or we all like the Simple Mills crackers. They're almond crackers. That's a really great brand, Simple Mills. It's mostly almond flour based foods.
Where do you buy that one at?
Amazon. Native Sun, Whole Foods, any of the stores.
Some Publix have them.
Some Publix, yeah. My Publix doesn't.
Earth Fare.
Yeah. A lot more people are carrying them now.
It's called what? Simple Mills?
Simple Mills.
Mills. M-I-L-L?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then kale chips is another family favorite. I put a seasoning in here that changed kale chips for me. They're the best kale chip seasoning it's called. So you make a nutritional yeast seasoning. So nutritional yeast has a lot of really good B vitamins in it, but it has a cheesy flavor to it. So you can put it on vegetables and put it on kale, and it makes them taste a little cheesy. When you start eating really healthy, then they taste cheesy. I remember tasting it a couple years ago, and I was like, this is not cheese. But, the cleaner you eat, the more cheesy it tastes. And then you add seasonings to it, and then you sprinkle it on the kale chips. So just follow the directions on making the kale chips, but those are another good one. I remember telling Dr. Christie, I need something crunchy. She was like, make kale chips. She's working on my neck. I'm like, yeah, that's not going to cut it. But they do. They do now. They add the crunch. Roasted chickpeas is another family favorite. You can you get a can or use the Instant Pot and make chickpeas from dry beans. But you can get them in a can, and then you toss them in olive oil. Look up a recipe on Pinterest and make them crunchy.
You can also make zucchini chips too.
Yeah, zucchini chips.
Those are really good.
Yeah. I learned with the chickpeas, if you crack the oven while they're cooking on 200, it lets some of the moisture out, so they don't get as chewy, or they're more crispy that way. So that's another way to do it. Uncured pepperoni or meat sticks. Those are other things we always have on hand. For dinner, there's chicken sausages. Dr. Christie, yes ma'am.
What is a meat stick?
Oh, you remember Slim Jims?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay, not those.
Look at
They
it.
have grass-fed sticks like that now that are, you can buy them at Whole Foods or Earth Fare or places like that. My Publix does not have them, but they're meat sticks, but they use grass-fed beef. They're really good. They hold you over. Chicken sausages, you can buy a whole pack of chicken sausages and then cook them on Sunday, and then you can just toss them onto any meal or into your eggs or anything throughout the week. Stir fry is another really easy dinner meal prep. Make stir fry ingredients on Sunday, and then you can turn it into a bunch of things throughout the week. We talked through some of these things. Switching it up, like instead of making a meat for the whole week, you could do a whole pot of lentils or a whole pot of beans to use throughout the week. And then my favorite thing to do is to make a large batch of soup and then freeze like lunch-sized portions of it. Like eat it one night for dinner, and then I'll freeze the other half for another night. So, then I have another night off. So if you make a big batch, then you can freeze or make other portions instead of having to cook every single night.
You don't have to freeze it if you're going to eat it in that same week, right?
Right, I'm just saying, like, I make this chicken noodle soup, noodle-less soup in my Instant Pot, and that I freeze half, and then I will cook it like 2 weeks from now. I'll thaw it and eat it. Yeah, but you don't have to do that. So I gave you another example of another week of breaking up your proteins at the on the next page, where I make Asian lettuce wraps with roasted veggies. The next night I'll do Mexican tacos zucchini boats. But then the night after that, I'll use the lettuce wrap meat and I'll serve it over sauteed cauliflower rice. So it's the same meat, just served a different way. So you can look through that and see all the different ways that you can use the bases that we kind of talked about. Is that idea helpful to anyone? And I list the things I would have to prepare for that week. And then on the back, you'll see we listed out just some of the places we like to shop. The quiche show Dr. Christy loves to use is at Earth Fare. It's in the frozen section. There's a gluten-free quiche shell. And then it's also at Native Sun. They have one as well, and it's like in a 2-pack. You get 2 for 1 there. Another place for meal prepping, Cody posted about this on our Facebook page, is Freshfield Farms, because you can buy things so cheap and you can buy bulk things for a good price. Just always keep an eye out at every store, conventional versus the organic. Like, don't think because you're going to somewhere called Freshfield Farms that everything is good. So you still have to read the signs and make sure you're buying the organic produce there and that kind of thing.
What about Lucky's? I've never been there.
Yeah, I've only been there one time. It's not close to me, Lucky's,
Me neither,
but I don't know if anyone has shopped there.
Where's Earth Fare?
Earth Fair's on Beach or Atlantic, and there's one in Mandarin. Yeah.
That's a good meeting.
So, like I said earlier, I'm gonna interject here and do our raffle tickets. Tonight we're raffling off this glass storage container set. So if you brought a friend or a guest, you get a raffle ticket. And Cody, do you mind passing these out? You get a raffle ticket, and then you also get a $5 coupon for bringing a guest. So if you brought a guest, you get a $5 coupon, and you get a raffle ticket towards the glass containers. Woohoo! So the whole reason we're here is to talk about food, right? Because we know that 75% of our health comes from the food that we eat. And so that's what we do here at Health by Design. I explained that we're trying to find the nutritional deficiencies in your body and the interferences that are causing you to have the symptoms that you're having. So I'm going to explain the technique that we use here to identify those things and to help you heal and to help you find the right things for your body. And so up here you'll see we like to use this triangle to explain nutritional deficiencies and organ dysfunction are always connected to each other. So at the top here we have the word symptom, right? And so every symptom is connected to a nutritional deficiency or an organ dysfunction. And then it's a one big vicious cycle. So the larger the nutritional deficiency, the more organ dysfunction we have, the larger our symptom gets. So I'm going to pick headache as an example of a symptom. So the reason that one person has a headache, or like the reason that Wanda has a headache could be because she clenches her jaw and she has a lot of stress, and so it's a tension headache that she gets. The next person could have high blood pressure, and that gives them a headache. The next person could be dehydrated, and that's why they have a headache. So, but everyone takes what if they have a headache? Advil. And so did it fix the problem? No. Are you still going to get a headache again? Yes. So the Advil is just masking the symptom. It's not fixing the problem. And all 3 headaches had a different reason. And so we need to figure out, why is Wanda having headaches? Like, what is her cause? Why is she having, organ dysfunction that's causing her to have a headache? And then Terry, like, why is Terry having headaches? What nutritional deficiency does she have that's causing her to have headaches? Another example I like to give is polycystic ovarian syndrome. The reason that I have polycystic ovarian syndrome is not the same reason that the person next to me has it. Like, we have different root causes and different things that brought us to the point of having the same diagnosis. So what we want to do is put a stop in the triangle and break up this vicious cycle and figure out what is the nutritional deficiency that is causing the polycystic ovarian syndrome to show an organ dysfunction, and there's symptoms that come along with that, right? So we want to break that cycle and figure out what's causing it. And the way that we do that here in our office is we use nutrition response testing. How many, is there anyone in the room that is not familiar with nutrition response testing? You have a couple guesses?
Yeah, I'm not familiar.
Not familiar? So I will explain how it works. So it's a technique that we can use to identify the underlying cause, or the nutritional deficiency, and then the interferences that are there that are causing the organ dysfunction. So the one way I like to talk about this is our bodies are very electrical. I was with Miss B in the waiting room earlier, and she was like, I had no idea. So I always say our bodies are so electrical. The only difference between you being dead and alive is the electrical impulse that is sent to your heart every second, right? But we don't think of ourselves that way at all. But we utilize this feature of the body in muscle testing. So I'm going to make a complete circuit with myself. So if I hold one end of the stick and then hold the other end, I can make music with my own electrical energy and light up the lights. And so, Terry, do you mind coming up for a second? This is, yeah. Everybody's like, where do I get the stick? Hobby Lobby, $7.99.
Seriously?
Yeah. So then when I touch Terry, I can complete the circuit. So when we do the pinky and the thumb, like, we're completing a circuit within your own body. And that's where whenever you guys cross your legs, we're like, uncross your legs, because you're completing the circuit. And so that's what we're checking is, like, is there dysfunction when you do your pinky and your thumb together? Is there a break in the system? So you can see how I'm transferring it to her, and I can play music on her arm. So we're super, super electrical, right? And so the other thing about us and the way that our bodies are designed, how many of you are familiar with hypothermia here in Florida? You are, right? So what happens if you fell in a cold lake? What would happen to your arms and your legs? They would go numb, and sometimes, like, you would get lose your gangrene, lose your arms and your legs. Before what? The body will always protect the core. It's intelligent enough to do that. All the important stuff is right here, right? So it tries to protect that first. And so if you have an underfunctioning organ in the body and we press on that area of the body, then the body knows I'm not going to give any energy to the arm. I'm going to protect the, say, lung, if I'm pressing on lung. So I'll demonstrate that in a second. But the way that works, it's kind of like, the best example is kind of like an EKG. So you can put the nodes, when they're following your heart and tracking everything, they put the nodes on, and so they're reading the electrical energy from the heart, but they're not actually, the nodes aren't touching the heart. They're able to read it from the surface of the skin. And so that's what we do with the muscle testing. We're on the surface of the skin, on the dermatomes of each organ. Even though we're not touching that organ, then we're able to get a response from that particular organ. So, Terry, do you mind being my model? Sure. Since you're up here once. So, Terry here, we all understand about her body. It's A, now we know it's electrical, right? And then B, it has its own level of strength and energy already. So if I have Terry stick her arm out, when I press on her arm, she has enough strength to match my pressure and to to keep her arm here, right? But like I explained earlier, say her lung has dysfunction and I press on it and I press on her arm's going to go weak because her body is intelligent enough to go like, there's something happening here, I'm protecting the lung. And so we utilize that feature of the body to figure out which areas are in dysfunction. And so just as it is sensitive enough to react that way, how many of you are familiar with the sun and feeling the sun rays here in Florida come through the window? You can feel the sun rays on your skin, you can feel the warmth, but we can't see them, right? Obviously the whole food nutrients in this bottle, because that's what we use, is whole food nutrients and live herbs and homeopathic stuff in our office. So the body is intelligent enough to respond to the energy that's coming out of the whole food nutrients. Obviously it's not as powerful as the energy coming from the sun, but our body can still respond to it. So if Terry holds on to this right here and it's just the right nutrients her body needs to make the lung stronger, and I press on the lung, then her arm would remain strong. So it's really fascinating and really cool. And so we have to determine, you can see, and do through the muscle testing if you are a nutrition response testing candidate. And so we will be offering free quick checks for any guests tonight, so you can get a quick check and get an idea of what's going on in your body, and we can show you if you would possibly be a nutrition response testing candidate. So that's what we do. We design a nutrition program that's built for your body. And that's fascinating, right? Like I used to take all these supplements because I was always guessing and trying to figure it out, but you don't have to guess anymore because the nutrition program is built for your body and your body only. So you could line up, just because of me, I'll use this example, like 4 PCOS people, but our nutritional programs could look completely different because our deficiencies are completely different, but we have the same thing. I don't think I have that anymore, by the way. I don't have that diagnosis. So we always encourage you guys to focus on that we are rebuilding your health. So nutrition, that's what we're about here, is overall health. So a lot of you come in with a burning fire that we have to put out. We have to put out the fire, and so that takes time, right? And then we have to clean up the ashes, we say, clean up the mess. That takes time. And we're using whole food nutrition and herbs to do that. Those are the building blocks we're working with. And then we have to put the walls back up, and then we have to put the roof back on. And so knowing when you're walking into a healing journey that it takes time to clean up the mess. Like a lot of times people are coming to us with 20 years of having a problem, you know. So knowing that we are seeking overall health and we're rebuilding the entire house of the body, and knowing that that takes time using whole food nutrition. And the coolest part about what we do is it's safe and natural. So if you are on medications already, we can still work with you. If you're a baby, we can still work with you. If you're elderly, we can still work with you, because we're just using whole food nutrition and herbs. And so we can really work with anyone in the population, which is really, really fascinating and really cool. So if you are interested in learning more about nutrition response testing, we will be offering the free muscle testing after. So there is a public health form in there. If you're interested in that, go ahead and fill that out. And Dr. Christy and I will be in the other room doing the muscle testing. If you do schedule an appointment, we'll do 25% off. No health form. Some of them, I know I saw, maybe some people didn't get them. Here's one. It looks like this. Can I borrow yours for a second? So this is only if you are not an existing patient. So it should look like this. It's called the Public Education Workshop. If you're an existing patient and you have one and you don't need it, can you pass it around? We'll make sure everybody gets one. Okay, cool. So I know you want one. Great. Anybody need one? Okay. So if you do want to do that, you can head on next door. After you fill out your paper, it will be first come, first served. And then you would get 25% off your initial exam. So that's a wrap.